3, 2, 1, go. Good day everyone, we're the Group 2 and we will be reporting about traveler decision making, the experientialist stance. Next slide please. So this is the context of our report. So una is decision-making processes and yung dynamic modeling theory of travel decision-making, drilling down with grounded theory and explaining tourism behavior. Next slide, please. Traveler decision-making, the never-ending journey. Si Helmut and Helga are first-time visitors to Hawaii from Bonn, Germany. And yung kanilang 3-week trip is split sila between the islands of Hawaii, Oahu, and Kauai. Si Helmut, isa siyang professional scientist and meron siyang PhD sa physics. And si Helga naman, nagmamanage siya ng home full-time. And yung kanilang 3-week trip is nahati siya between the islands, kanina sinabi ko, and yung mga decisions nila regarding this couple's vacation, parang straightforward naman and unremarkable. And nag-decided sila na dahil sa Hawaiians naman, islands, is mabubook sila doon ng first class tickets and yung gusto nilang doon yung second honeymoon destination nila. Since malayo yung Germany sa Hawaii, nag-decide sila na first class and magre-rest sila sa California to rest. And while yung vacation sila, yung couple, nag-stay muna sila sa 3-star hotel because hindi naman nila plinano na mag-spend much time sa room nila. Next slide, please.
So, good day everyone. My name is Pau David and I am here para i-discuss yung some chapters na gumawa about sa decisions making. So, as per as Lara said, may dalawang couple na nag-travel sa Hawaii which is sina Helmut and Helga. Yung 3-week trip nila from Hawaii is hindi naging madali sa paggawa ng decision since first time na nga nila mag-travel sa Hawaii. That's why I am here para i-discuss yung mga gumawa ng chapters upang mas malinawagan yung mga travelers when it comes sa decisions-making process. So first, like many tourism organizations, Hawaii's Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism 2008 collects most of the information mentioned above, aggregate the visitor profiles along with other crucial data regarding tourist travel behavior are reported annually, but the underlying factors affecting the couple's decisions process still evade the seasoned researchers. So yung Hawaii's Department of Business and Economic Development and Tourism 2008, kumbaga nag-collect sila ng mga information such as the visitor profiles, tourist travel behavior, and so on and so forth. But yung kinalabasan nito is parang naapektuhan yung couple which sina Helmut and Helga sa paggawa ng decisions process. Also, tinanong din sila if how did the travel couple make their vacation decisions and paano sila na-influence yung decisions nila na mag-travel sa Hawaii. So next, this chapter also adopts an experientialist approach to theory and research to overcome the limitations of objectivism. Only one reality is observable, and subjectivism, no one reality exists, by Lakoff and Johnson, 1980. Kumbaga, this chapter adopts experientialist approach to theory and researcher para ma-overcome natin yung mga limitations natin ng objectivisms, which is the only one reality is observable. Meaning, ito yung mga bagay na hawak natin or mga decisions na hawak natin na umiiral ang katotohanan sa kanya-kanya nating mga consciousness. Also, ito din yung mga ang bagay na meron sa atin regardless kung ano yung paniniwala at nararamdaman ng iba sa atin. And also, subjectivism or no one reality exists. Meaning, ito yung mga hawak nating kaalaman or mga decisions sa kung ano ang bilang tayo base sa ating mga personal na experience and also perceptions. Kumbaga, mas kino-consider natin sa sarili natin na tama yung mga decisions natin kahit na mali sa paningin ng ibang tao. And also, parang ina-adapt lang natin dito yung mga experience and perception natin sa life. So the third one is this chapter adopts the unstructured and semi-structured decisions-making models of Winsberg et al. 1976. Dito sa chapter na to is, kumbaga yung model ni Winsberg is inadopt niya yung unstructured and semi-structured decisions-making. Kapag sinabi kasi nating unstructured decisions, ito yung mga decisions maker na kailangan na mag-provide ng judgment, evaluations, and insights sa problema na meron sila. And kapag naman sinabing structured decisions, ito naman yung mga decisions maker na parang umuulit lang yung mga decisions kasi parang nakasanayan na nila yon na mas nakakasunod sila since sanay na nga sila. And dahil and and also na-contribute din dito si McDonald 1994 to explain travelers decisions making process. Kumbaga na-contribute dito si McDonald para ma-elaborate or ma-explain ng maayos sa mga traveler yung about sa decisions making process. Next one. In situ, gestalt thinking involves a combination of System 1, unconscious, and System 2, conscious thinking, with one mode dominating actions in a particular context. This concept as discussed in Evan 2003. Parang yung dito, parang diniscuss ni Evans 2003 na yung gestalt thinking ay may combination ng two systems, which is yung system 1 is unconscious. Kapag sinabi nating unconscious, ito yung mga feelings or thoughts na meron tayo pero hindi tayo aware. Kumbaga, manhid tayo sa kung anong meron tayong thoughts or feelings. And kapag sinabi namang conscious, which is yung system 2, ito naman yung mga thoughts and feelings na aware tayo sa anumang oras. For example, ako, yung mga binibigay kong thoughts sa inyo, or specifically yung mga thoughts nga na aware ako, which means yung mga thoughts na yon is aware ako for at this moment. So the last one is the seminal work of Jacob and Snelders 2005 on the Grouden typology of vacations decisions making informs the present chapter's experiential stance. These authors develop a vacationer typology based on their decisions making style. For example, yung habitual, rational, hedonic, opportunistic, constraints, and adaptable. Yung sa last part na to is parang nag-seminal work sina Decroft and Snelders na parang yung dalawang author na to is nag-develop sila sa vocational typology. Parang gumawa sila ng mga decisions-making styles. For example, yung habitual nga, rational, and so forth. So parang yung kino-consider lang dito is, or yung pinaka-main purpose sa chapter nito is para ma-illustrate or ma-develop yung vocational decisions maker. Also, yung pinaka-main purpose lang din nito is para lumawak yung mga kaalaman or yung mga idea ng travelers when it comes sa decisions making ng tao or kumbaga yung mga decisions ng isang traveler. Okay.
So, hi everyone. I am J.M. Mora and I'll be explaining the tourist decision dynamics. Interpretive researchers explicitly describe their own ethic conclusions from EMIC participants, explanations and conclusions that are found while collecting data in field settings. Generalized ethic EMIC propositions help interviewers to probe in situ influences with informants abductively. Abductive inferences permit reasoning from rule and result to case. By Holbrook and Grayson, 1986 and mid-1986. So, dito sa statement na to, yung mga researchers use a combination of emic and ethic perspectives. Pag sinabi nating ethic perspectives, it is the outsider perspectives or yung perspective mismo ng mga researchers. Pag sinabi naman nating emic perspective it is the insider's perspective. Kumbaga ito yung mga perspective ng tourists. Para mas maintindihan nyo, yung ethic is the researchers and emic is the tourist. And yung aim nila is to understand the subjective experiences and perspectives of the participants, of the tourists. And they study the motivations of the tourists through interview. Ini-interview nila yung mga tourists kung ano ba yung nagmo-motivate sa kanila to choose a destination. Next is the result given by Woodside et al. 2004 suggests that the decision process begins before the actual trip decision and continues until the trip is completed. So sa statement na to, yung decision process hindi lang nagtatapos kapag nandoon na yung traveler sa mismong destination na napili nila. Nagko-continue to hanggang sa matapos yung duration ng travel ng isang traveler. Hindi porket nandoon ka na sa destination mo is tapos na, hindi ka na magde-decide. Matatapos lang yung decision making ng isang traveler kapag na-complete niya na yung duration ng travel niya. And to explain these statements, I'll be showing you a chart. Next slide, please. This is the figure 4.1 theoretical map adapted from Woodside et al. 2004 and March and Woodside 2005. This figure 4.1, which represents which presents 9 issues relevant to mapping travel decision and behavior flows, particularly focusing on destination choices. So nagfo-focus to sa destination choices ng isang travelers. So dito mag-start tayo sa box number 1, the demographics. Who is the visitor? What type of lifestyle does he or she have? So sa box na to dapat kilalanin muna natin kung sino yung mga visitor, ano yung mga preferences nila, ano yung mga motivations nila to choose a destination. Then doon sa proposition 1 is connected siya sa box number 1 and box number 2. The framing leisure choices, leisure travel alternatives. So dito sa box number 2 is ini-imagine na ng visitor kung ano ba yung gusto niya activities na gawin para makapili ng destination kung saan magagawa niya yung mga activities na gusto niya. Next is proposition 2 is connected siya sa box number 3 and box number 2 pa din. So, kailangan mong i-consider yung mga possibilities na pwedeng mangyari doon sa site bago ka makapili ng destination. Kumbaga, nagpe-pre-plan ka na ng mga pwede mong gawin doon sa mga possibilities na pwedeng mangyari, like gusto mong mag-hiking and bigla kang nasugatan or nadapa doon sa mismong hiking nyo, dapat prepared ka. Dapat may dala kang medical kit para malunasan mo agad yung sugat na yon. Next is proposition number 3, which is connected siya sa box number 4, external influences, and box number 2. So yung sa external influences, ito yung mga nag-i-influence sa'yo to choose the activities, kung ano ba yung activities na gusto mo. Like, influence ka ng friends, relatives, or co-workers. Kumbaga, halimbawa, na-recommend sa'yo yung ganitong activity, then, pipiliin mo yung ganon, try mo yung activities na na-recommend nila sa'yo. Then, proposition number 4 is connected siya sa box number 2 and box number 5. Box number 5 is choice of destination. Why was destination selected? Why were competitive destination rejected? So, bago ka pumili, ng destination, dapat alam mo muna yung mga gusto mong gawin. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng doon na mismo sa destination, doon ka pala magde-decide ng mga anong gusto mong activities, di ba? And to choose a destination, dapat alam mo yung gagawin mo sa destination na yun. Halimbawa, may dalawa kang choices na country. Ang example kasi natin is a Japanese family. Probably they are from Japan, and may choices sila na dalawang country, which is Hawaii and Philippines. So yung gusto nilang mga activities is to see a lava flow, stargazing, and to see different islands, which is yung Philippines and Hawaii is both archipelago, so maraming islands. Then doon pagpipilian nila kung saang bansa ba sila pupunta, kung saan magagawa nila yung mga activities na pinagplanuhan nila. Pero bago yon, pupunta muna tayo sa Proposition 5, which is connected siya sa box number 4 and box number 5. To choose a destination pa rin, you must consider the external influences, no? Kapag namimili ang isang traveler ng destination, pwedeng galing din to sa mga external influences. Pwedeng ni-recommend din yung destination, ni-recommend sa kanila ng mga kakilala nila. Next is proposition number 5. So wait lang, baliktad yung nabasa ko. Proposition number 5 is pre-framing and pre-planning issues. Ito yung mga issues na possibility pwedeng mangyari doon sa destination mismo. So dapat ready ka, dapat nakapagplano ka sa mga possibilities na yon. And sa proposition number 6 is yung external influences. Ito yung influences combination by your friends, relatives, and co-workers. Ito yung mga recommendations sa iyo kung anong country ang mas magandang puntahan, kung anong destination ang magandang puntahan based doon sa activity na napagplanuhan nyo. Next is proposition number 7. Connected siya sa box number 6 and box number 5. So itong proposition na to is, kumbaga, sinasolidify niya yung decision ng isang travelers. Kumbaga, binubuo niya na yung loob ng traveler na itong destination na to yung gusto nilang puntahan. Kasi nga, nandun yung activities na pwede nilang gawin. Next is proposition number 8, connected siya sa box number 6 and box number 7. Dito, yung mga activities na pwede nilang gawin sa destination, like yung stargazing nga na napagplanuhan nila and to see the lava flows, pwede na nilang gawin doon. Nandito, nakapasok dito yung activities planned and done, activities planned and not done, activities planned and not planned and done, activities not planned and not done. So iba-ibang activities yan na mga pinaplanuhan nila at nagawa nila doon sa mismong destination, and yung mga activities na hindi nila pinano pero ginawa pa din nila. Next is proposition number 9, connected siya sa box number 8 and box number 7. Box number 8 is situation on-site influences. Local information sources use special events unknown prior to the visit. So, for example, nandun yung pumunta ka doon sa Hawaii, pero hindi mo alam na may festival pala during sa time na pagpunta nyo doon sa Hawaii. Pero yung pagpunta doon sa festival, hindi nyo siya pinlano. Wala siya sa plano nyo na gawin doon sa destination na yun. Pero since nandoon na kayo, i-experience nyo na, gusto nyo nang ma-experience, doon na pumapasok yung activities not planned, but ginawa nyo pa rin. Yung activities not planned and done. Next is proposition number 10, connected siya sa box number 7 and box number 9. Ito na yung consequences. Dito na yung malalaman natin kung nasatisfy ba yung tourist sa mga activities na ginawa nila during their trip doon sa destination na napili nila. And sabihin na natin na satisfy sila. Dahil nga na-satisfy sila, um, ano pwedeng gawin nila, ano pwedeng mangyari, like dito na sila i-intention na bumalik or umulit doon sa destination, bumalik sa Hawaii and to do the activities na ginawa nila, or probably they will recommend the destination sa mga kakilala nila pagbalik nila ng bansa nila. And that should be all. Thank you. Next.
So thank you, Lara. So I'll be the one to discuss the data collection methodology. So McCracken's 1988 long interview method provides guidelines for collecting data. This method uses loosely structured question and probing a follow-up question for tourism research. The inquiries need to uncover the rationale behind the visitor's decision-making process, outcomes, and feeling throughout the trip. So, na-collect yung data dahil kay McCracken's 1988. Si McCracken's gumawa siya ng long interview method na nagpro-provide ng guidelines sa pag-collect ng data. And yung method na po yun is loosely structured question and probing follow-up question. So yung probing po is parang examine follow-up question, ganun po. So for tourism research naman po, siya po yung mag-step up para malaman niya yung decision making ng isang visitors, process, outcomes, and feelings throughout the trip ng isang visitors. So yung interview should take the place at location and situation considered to provide the greatest opportunity to gather the most relevant data about the phenomena under investigation. Strauss and Corvin, 1998. So dito naman nagko-conduct sila ng interview. For Helmut and Helga interview, ito yung mga question na na-address. The first one is demographic information, pre-trip planning and sources of information, activities and destination, both planned and unplanned, issues surrounding flights, accommodation and grounds transportation, overall impressions of the travel experience. So next slide please. So dito naman po sa Helmut and Helga undercover, magbibigay po ako ng brief story about sa dalawa. So basically, mag-asawa sila si Helmut and Helga. May 3 silang anak. Tapos na-interview sila sa Kailua Kuna. Yung interview is naglasted ng 60 minutes. And nag-participate sila equally. Si Helmut nag-spend siya ng 20 years thinking para sa trip dun sa Hawaii. So isa siyang scientist and fascinated siya sa volcano. Para maging possible yung trip, nag-save siya sa 20 years, nag-save siya ng Delta points. Yung Delta points is makakakuha sa airline. So yung Delta points is makukuha mo siya sa airlines, and kapag naipon mo yon, marami ka naipon na ganun, is parang makakatipid ka sa mga airlines kapag marami silang Delta points. So yung wife niya naman na si Helga is hindi siya mahilig sa mga volcano. So gusto niya lang pumunta sa USA kasi hindi pa siya nakakapunta doon. Tapos despite of 20 years dreaming in Hawaii, hindi man lang sila nag-search about dun sa pupuntahan nila, which is yung Hawaii. So dahil hindi sila nakapag-search, hindi nakita ni Helmut yung lava flow, which is kaya pumunta sila isa sa reason bakit pumunta sila doon is para makita niya yung lava flow. Kaso yun nga, hindi siya nag-search. Yung sa lava flow, need mo ng helicopter para makaride ka. Kaso mas pinili niya na hindi na lang mag-ride para makapag-save up ng money. So yung travel decision making, may 4 phases siya. Yung phase 1 is nagko-consist siya ng demographics, free-framing and preparing trip issues, framing leisure's choices, and external influences. So sa demographics, anong status nila? Anong status ng pamilya nun? Tapos dito si Helga at saka si Helmut, mag-asawa sila. May 3 silang anak, which is 17 years old, 18 and 21 years old. So sa pre-framing and preferring trip issues, yung first bullet is kaya ba nilang mag-isa, mag-travel o kaya maiwan mag-isa yung mga anak nila. Kaya ba nila yon? So yung second bullet and third bullet is yung kung ano yung financial state nila. So dito sa second bullet is Save the Delta Millage Awards over 20 years. So dito sila Helmut and Helga is nag-save off ng Delta points. Yung Delta points nga is kapag nakaipon ka nun is parang makakatipid ka kasi sa airlines, like mababawasan yung gastos mo. Tapos, kapag, yung sa third bullet naman is, hindi, kung nung hindi sila, nung bata sila, hindi daw sila nakakapunta. Pero nung, like, nakapag-save off na sila nung mga Delta points, medyo nakakapunta na sila. Tapos yung sa framing leisure choices, yung husband niya na si Helmut, iniisip niya na unconsciously na mag-visit sa South Seas Paradise, which is hindi pa niya iniisip like directly na pupunta doon. Like literal na hindi pa niya iniisip na pupunta siya sa lugar na yon. So yung second bullet, third and fourth is like hindi sila nag-search about sa lugar na yon. Like no media, hindi sila nag-search for hotel, rental cars, yung mga ganun, hindi sila nag-search about dun sa pupuntahan nila, which is yung Hawaii. So yung external influences naman is kasama siya sa phase 1 and phase 2. So sa phase 1 is may idea na sila dito, pero like parang basic idea pa lang, pero like basic idea pa lang sila pero hindi pa buo. So sa phase 2 naman, key activity drivers for Hawaii visit. Ito nga, dahil nga scientist yung asawa niya, gusto niya makita yung lava. Iniisip may encounter nilang problema, which is yung mga yung for example yung 3 stars hotel, doon na lang daw sila para makapag-save up ng money. Ganon. Tapos hindi na sila nag-expect ng like accommodation na maayos kasi nga like 3 stars hotel ganon. Tapos dito na sila nag-trip booking actions, like nag-online booking sila sa hotel. Tapos kumuha din sila ng hotel and rental car. Tapos dito nag-redeem sila ng Delta points. Yung Delta points nga yung like mapapabawas yung gagastusin mo kasi may Delta points ka. Sa choice of destination naman, dito nakita na nila yung mga transportation nila and kung paano sila makakapunta dun sa lugar na yon. Tapos dito sa external influences na kasama din siya sa phase 2 and phase 1. Sa phase 2 naman is medyo may babaguhin na sila kasi parang may narinig na sila sa place na parang negative. So mag-move na sila. I mean, babaguhin nila ng konti yung plano, ganun. So sa third phase, we have key activities on Hawaii's Big Islands, initiate trips, during trip evaluation, and situation on-site influences. So sa key activities on Hawaii's Big Island, ito na yung mga activities na iniisip nila kapag pupunta sila doon. Like talk to the children at the home daily, saw lava tubes, snorkeling, visited church, hilo day trip. Tapos, dito, mag-initiate na sila ng trip para matuloy yung mga iniisip nilang gagawin. Tapos, during the trip evaluation, like, iniisip na nila yung, mag-evaluate na sila kahit hindi pa nila na-experience yung pupuntahan nila and yung mga activities na ini-evaluate nila. So, ganun yung sa during the trip evaluation. So, yung sa situation on-site influences naman, na-experience na nila and parang iniisip na nila na masaya ba yung experience nila doon, ulitin pa ba nila, and pupunta pa ba sila doon if ever na maulit, ganon. Tapos yung sa last phase is yung consequences, worthwhile trip but did not get to see the lava flows. Ito nga, yung sabi nila worthwhile pero hindi yung ang main point nila is main point ni Helmut is makita yung lava flow kaso hindi niya nagawa kasi nga yun nga hindi sila nag-search bago pumunta dun sa Hawaii and ayun parang hindi siya bago ka kasi bago mo makita yung sa lava flows need mo munang mag-ride ng helicopter so need mo mag-spend talaga ng money doon so siya hindi na siya naglabas ng pera parang dinown na lang niya kaya ayun parang hindi punta siya doon para sa wala kasi nga hindi sila nag-search tapos yung ano naman niya yung asawa naman niya is masaya siya kasi nga yung asawa niya is gusto niyang pumunta sa US. Eh yung US is part siya ng, 'di ba? State siya ng Hawaii. So dun umiikot yung travel decision making nung dalawa. So yun lang po.
Explaining tourism behavior. In explaining tourism behavior, is meron tayong 4 phase. First phase is memories, demographics, ecological factors, and unconscious memories influenced Helmut and Helga's decision-making criteria. So sa phase na to is parang understanding why people travel, kung sino yung mga travelers, kung ano yung mga nagmo-motivate sa kanila, yung mga influences nila and yung mga personal preferences nila to choose a destination. Phase 2 is moves the decision to making actual plans. Key activity drivers would make or break the trip. So dito na nagpa-plan yung mga tourists, yung traveler, kung ano ba yung mga gagawin niya doon sa destination na yon, kung ano ba yung destination na pupuntahan niya para magawa yung mga gusto niyang activities. Then phase 3 is where travel behavior departs from the traditional consumer decision-making funnel at the trip destination. Each travel party was exposed to unexpected occurrences and activities. So yung sa phase na to, parang dito pumapasok yung experiences ng traveler doon sa destination, kung ano ba yung mga na-experience niya doon sa accommodation na pinili nila or yung experiences nila doon sa mga activities na ginawa nila. Then last phase is phase number 4. Question whether or not the visitor developed an attachment to the destination. Will the tourist become a repeat visitor? So dito sa phase na to is kumbaga reflection ng overall experience ng isang tourist doon sa destination, kung nasatisfy ba siya or hindi, kung babalik pa ba siya or hindi, or kung i-recommend niya ba ito sa mga kakilala niya doon sa lugar nila. That's all. Next.
Thank you, Maura. Let's head now to the conclusion. It demonstrates a thinking-action-thinking streaming approach for understanding the complex and extended decision-making that takes place in leisure travel, pre-trip, at site, and post-trip interpretations by travelers. It demonstrates a new application of the Mintzberg 1976 unstructured and the Woodside and McDonald 1994 semi-structured decision-making models to consumer decision-making for high involvement service purchases. Trip planning involves many steps and includes many variables. The unstructured decision The unstructured decision model allows the decision maker to break down the decisions into manageable feedback loops. Once the feedback loops within the phase are completed successfully, the process moves to the next phase. Missing elements result in developing new scenarios or returning to a previous phase, sometimes for years. So, alam naman natin na yung topic is all about um, decision making and mga process or examples. We all know naman na pagdating sa decision making is sometimes nahihirapan tayo sa pagdedesisyon um, kasi minsan madami tayong choices kaya nahihirapan tayo magdesisyon or nagdadalawang isip na tayo or minsan kapag nakapag-desisyon tayo ng mali, nangyayari is parang nagsisisi tayo sa uli. Which is, yun yung nasabi kanina ni David, yun yung unconscious mind. Sila yung agad-agad na kakapag-desisyon na hindi muna nila naiisip or iniisip yung dedesisyonan nila or di nila tinitignan yung future. Pero ang isa reason na kung bakit nangyayari yon is kapag na-overexcite tayo or kinakabahan or minsan nag-overthink. And also pagdating sa pag-travel, kailangan may backup plan tayo na place kung sakaling yung naunang place na napuntahan natin is may problem. Like example, may bagyo doon sa isang place. At least may iba tayong choice or lugar na mapupuntahan na feel mo ay may similarities sila. Like sa mga activities ganon. Next. One surprise is how little pre-trip planning is done, possibly by most visitors. The unstructured model is superior to the funnel approach because trip planning is dynamic. Case study research methods are sometimes criticized because the findings are difficult to generalize to a broad population. However, achieving replication using theoretical sampling of a few cases of narrowly defined population segments helps to overcome such criticism and provides the opportunity to construct Boolean algebra-based predictive models. Woodside 2010. Case study research offers deep insights that may be exceptionally useful predictors of consumer behavior, and data from them support the view that a rich and holistic understanding of the tourist behavior is possible. Kung narinig nyo kanina or nakita nyo sa PPT na may mga process pagdating sa decision making or mga models ganun, like for example yung kay Woodside and McDonald at saka yung iba pa. Mahalaga din talaga na alam mo yung magiging desisyon ng isang tao kasi may benefits din yon. Like sa pagta-travel, kung mapapansin mo may mga feedbacks or reviews yung mga places na pinupuntahan nila para yung owner ng place malaman niya kung okay ba yung naging experience niya doon sa mismong lugar na yon. Then syempre kapag may magandang reviews or feedback yung place na yon, is pwede nilang ibisitahin ulit. Pupunta at saka mas madami pang pupuntang tourist dun sa place na yon. Kaya ganun ko importante yung decision ng mga tao. That's it. I hope that you'd learn something to this discussion. Thank you for listening.